Hey, you guys think you know which way it's going to go?
Yeah.
Well, you should head on and over to Sports Interaction, whatever sport. Sports Interaction has you covered pregame, live and betting, and all major sports. And, of course, your prop bets. If you want to bet, where do you go, guys?
Sports Interaction.
Sportsinteraction.com/STPN. Come on. 19 plus, please play responsibly.
I have a question for you, and this is a headline that we missed. A couple headlines that were really kind of broke over the break, and they were not really headlines so much as they were storylines, narratives, things that people were talking about on Twitter. Number one, is the Leafs goaltending all of a sudden bad? Yes or no?
By the numbers, yeah.
It was.
I think I have the exact numbers.
Like, what I didn't like, people were, you can have a bad game or whatever. Like, sometimes goals just go in. That's regression. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're not going to be a 940 all season. When you're a 940, it's not just because you're playing well. It's because the puck happens to hit you. No one, go look how many goalies have played over 20 games and been a 940 goaltender over the last quarter century. I'm pretty sure the list is 0. It's less than 5 for sure. So if you're a 940 goalie, it's because you're playing well and the puck happens to hit you. But some of the goals that Murray and Samsonov have been allowing lately are because they don't look like they particularly know what they're doing, which is weird because they hadn't really played like that. Then it's one thing if it's one game, another if it's 2, and it's another if it appears to be the trend.
Right. And that's what I was saying going into Saturday's game. Is this now a trend or is this just a blip?
So Samsonov, shut that down. And
solid.
It's the narrative is easy when he gets a shutout. Mm-hmm. I actually kind of think it's almost better when you allow not just a goal, but the first goal of the game, which he did, and then you just lock it down the whole rest of the way. Matt Murray, again, battled, scraped together a really good game. Yes, it's against the Flyers.
Samsonov's last 6 games, which includes a shutout, he is an 890. Matt Murray's last 7 games is an 886.
It's a regression.
Yeah.
It's a regression.
They're coming back to probably where they should have been,
And you don't have a tremendous amount of time to figure this out. So let's say this week looks a lot like the ones previous to this weekend. You have a very finite amount of time to be like, all right, let's get Joseph Woll up. See how he does. And you got to evaluate your goaltending.
You have 2.
For a while, for the last few weeks, it looked like they had 0.
I don't know about that. I think you have 2 guys that you're trying to evaluate.
Don't you leave Wool where he is in his happy place?
Why are you bringing a third goaltender into this? Shalgren, I guess, is not ahead of Woll anymore.
No, he hasn't been very good.
Right.
He hasn't been very good.
I don't think you're bringing a third goaltender into the mix until there's an injury.
Well, because if you then get to the trade deadline and they're still in their rut, and this is just what they are, they're sub 900 goaltending, which is what they've been recently, you have to go out and get a goalie. That's the only reason I was saying call up Woll. I'm not saying do it right now, but if you're going to spend the assets on goaltending when you, for the last few months, have wanted to spend those assets elsewhere, you got to see what you got. If you don't need to go out and get anything because Wool's ready and awesome, you need to know the yes or no there. And here's the great thing with Joseph Woll. He signed to less than $800,000 this year and next year and the year after.
Waivers?
Who's going to hit waivers?
No, Joseph Woll. Can you clear? Up and down?
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, he's good. Okay.
Yeah, he'll be okay. I guess you give him a shot.
It's so weird to me. Like, I could see it happening for sure if he remains this hot. Like, as a head coach, I got 2 goalies here. I got 2 NHL starting goalies. They're not young guys here. And I'm going to healthy scratch one and bring up Joseph Woll. That's a weird conversation.
If they're not performing.
So I'm going to have 3 goalies on my roster, and one of them is going to be the NHL goalie that we signed this offseason. He's not going to be playing.
Another thing that needs to be discussed is, okay, I got this young goalie in Ilya Samsonov. He's an RFA. Does he want to resign? And if he doesn't, you might have to look at trading that goalie.
That's
Dude,
interesting.
there's a lot of, and listen, if both Murray and Samsonov play great for the next few weeks, the conversation's moot. Right? If they play the way they did in earlier in December and later in November, if they play that way, spend the farm on Timo Meyer or go out and get a defenseman, whatever you want. We don't even talk about the goaltending. We haven't talked about the goaltending for, a while now. But if they continue to give you sub 900, you learn from your mistake last year and you go out and you get something.
Is the other headline that was narrative, whatever you want to call it, is Morgan Riley bad at hockey, bad for the organization, and should he be shot into a cannon?
Wow.
Shot out of a cannon and to another team.
What has the storyline been with the Leafs defense this season?
How they've plugged the gap despite all the injuries.
Despite is the operative word there, because they used a wide variety of guys on defense and it worked. Your reaction to that was
Trade Morgan Riley because it worked.
no. How did it make you feel? Like, what emotion did it give you?
Surprise.
Surprise. You know why?
Happiness.
You're not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to work that way. And when guys came into the lineup, they were great. You know how I reacted to that? Surprised. That's not how it's supposed to go. Whenever a guy has a long layoff and then returns to the lineup and scores that game, it's surprising. That's not how it's supposed to go. Hey, did you just go back to school after a layoff? Or some of the teachers out there, there was some moaning in the Dangle house.
I'm sure there was. Nobody likes going back after break.
Yeah, you went back for the first time in a couple of weeks. How you doing today? Crisp? You crisp? Yeah, your best? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to be. So when Morgan Riley came back and did not look good, I wasn't surprised. I was concerned. Over the last few games, I think he's gotten it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was difficult for him to get into his groove because he wasn't in his usual spot on the power play. And, depending on how the special teams go, now it's difficult to, I'm trying to get my feet under me and my feet are on the bench. It's not a recipe for success. Listen, if you actually think Morgan Riley is hurting your team, you got to explore that trade conversation too. But I don't think they think that.
Okay.
Can Joseph Wall play in Morgan Riley's spot?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.